Hello, thank you for joining. It's so good to see all of you. I'm so glad you were able to join in. Today we're going to think a little bit more about writing together. So take a minute and grab a piece of paper and something to write with. If you have a notebook you've designated specifically for writing, go ahead and grab that. And then once you have all of that, we're going to talk a little bit more about how writers gather ideas for writing, because we know that writers are in charge of their own writing. They come up with their own ideas because as writers, we write about what matters most to us. And so one way we know to gather ideas is thinking about specific places. So places we know that are very familiar, that we spend a lot of time, and thinking about memories in those places and then writing about those. Today, we're going to think about first times and last times. So the first time we can remember doing something and the last time we remember doing something, just as a way to kind of spark our memory and start gathering more ideas that will eventually, hopefully, could turn into a story, a research project, a poem. All right, so let's get started. So thinking about first times and last times, one way to think about this is in your notebook or on your piece of paper, go ahead and just jot down first times. First times. So I'm going to think aloud and then you'll have a chance to give this a go. So first time. So I'm thinking about, the first time I drove a car. It was scary. I can think about the first time I skinned my knee. I fell down playing kickball. I can think about the first time I got stung by a bee. I can think about the first time my daughter lost a tooth. So do you see how I just quickly listed some of those out? And I'm going to go ahead and jot down a couple more. I'm going to give you a minute to jot down some first times. First time you did something. Go ahead and jot down a couple more. All right, go ahead and pause your pencil or pen for a minute. So hopefully you got down a couple. And the good thing about keeping all of your writing stuff together is that you can always come back and add to it. So now let's think similarly, but with last times. So in your notebook, go ahead and write. You might want to leave some space under first times if you want to go back and add. Go ahead and jot down last times. So I'm going to think out loud about a few of these. Last time, I can remember the last time I was able to go to the store and buy toilet paper, right? Because now when you go to the store, there is no toilet paper to be found. The shelves are empty, and I can remember specifically the last time I went to Giant and there was tons of toilet paper. I never in a million years thought that I'd go in a week later and there'd be no toilet paper. So I'm going to write that. Go to the store to buy toilet paper. I remember the last time I went to get the mail and there was a spider inside my mailbox. I can remember the last time my grandmother was here visiting. I can remember the last day we were all in school together. Okay, same thing. I'm going to jot down a few more. Take about 30 seconds and try to get some ideas down. Last times you remember doing something. Go ahead. All right, go ahead and pause your pen or pencil. And again, please, anytime, go back and add things. All right, so our next step, so we've thought about some first times and last times. So now as a writer, I can go back through and pick any one of these and then just quickly write long about it. Write the story of that one time or describe that one time. So for me, I'm gonna think about this one, the first time, at least that I can remember, that I skinned my knee. So what I would do is go to a new page and write out that story or explain that time, and then you can do the same thing. So I'm gonna share quickly. So the first time I skinned my knee, I remember specifically I was in second grade and it had been raining out a bunch, so we were on the blacktop having recess and we were playing kickball, you know, with the big round ball. I'm sure you guys have all played it at recess or during gym class at some point. So we were playing on the blacktop, and I remember I was up to kick, and the pitcher or whoever throws the ball threw it, and I ran to kick it, and I kicked it hard and far. I was running, sprinting to first base, and I remember thinking in my head, go girl, you are the best. That was a good kick. You're gonna get a point for your team. I was just focused on that first base, getting there as fast as I could. Next thing you know, I feel a bang right against my legs. And next I fall, trip, and all I feel is heat going down the front of my leg. I was in shock. I looked down, my knee completely skinned. There was gravel stuck in it. I had to go to the nurse. They had to call my mom. It was a mess. And that time still stands out in my head. So I'm gonna go ahead and jot down that story. And you guys can pick one of your first times and last times and then tell more about it. All right, thank you so much for joining me. And again, this is one way to come up with ideas to write about, because we know writers come up with their own ideas. They don't need to be told what to write about because they write what matters most to them. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Take care.